Hi, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla, and today I have for you a July wrapped and an August TBR and a little haul. So let's get into it.
'Cause baby, I'm done going through phases of loving you, running out. I've been losing you.
Okay, so for the month of July, I read 4 books and I DNF'd 1 book. And the book that I DNF'd, I will return to because I liked it. It just was like a timing thing for me. So here are the books that I read in July. I read A Little Princess, which I think I've talked about in like a lot of the blogs I've recently done, but it's about a girl who her family is like British and she's living in India with her dad, and then her dad gets called away to a war and she has to get sent to school in England while he does what he does. I think it's war. Well, in the movie it's war. In the book it's he just wants her to go to school to get her education, and there's a business deal gone bad, and yeah, and she kind of goes through a whole little journey of proving, I guess, to herself that she is who she always thought she was, and also she gets to, you know, come out on top in the end, so to speak. It's a really good book. For me, this book has always been a 5-star read. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was rating this book before. Like when I had first started reading it as a kid, I was like, I don't know, 8. But I do really value it. I am really glad that it's something I can return to, and I'm definitely glad I reread it because I needed comfort when I was reading it. This is actually the second book I finished. This is Shatter Me. I didn't like it, guys. I don't get the hype. It wasn't for me. Hang on, let me just... Okay. As I was saying, Shatter Me just wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it. And the only reason that I hung on to the end was literally because I eventually got interested in their love story, and it, to me, wasn't good. It's about this girl who, when people touch her, she like drains their life force or something, and she's been really othered by her family, and she ends up like in this jail, and it's like a dystopian society, and there's this guy there, and she knew him when she was a child. And I don't know, she really liked him, and then all of a sudden, like fast forward, as she's like with him later on in life, like as a teenager, suddenly she's in love with him, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Like, I don't know. To me, it just didn't hold up. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know what I rated it on wherever I marked that I finished it, because I really don't keep track of my online reading platforms, but for me, this is like a 2.5 star book. Like, I just did not like it at all. The third book I finished in July was 11/22/63, which was my first Stephen King, by the way, and I really liked it. I talked about it in the vlog where I was reading it, but essentially all you really need to know is that, what can I tell you? All you really need to know is that it was good. The writing was really nice. I found the writing really, really engaging. I thought that the premise was really cool. I understand why things couldn't pan out the way they wanted them to, which was also really, really cool. My only real critiques came around, firstly, how Stephen King talks about
Is water in a cup? Because I'm thirsty.
Can you wait just 1 second and I'll bring it? Can I just finish my sentence and then I will do it?
Okay.
Okay. I don't like how Stephen King talks about women's bodies. I think it's kind of strange. And especially like bodies that are like even just like slightly bigger. I remember like the protagonist, or the female protagonist, she weighed 150 pounds, and Stephen King was like, yeah, and I was really working to get those not Stephen King. What's his name? Jake. I think his name is Jake. I can't remember. He was working really hard to get her 150-pound frame, moving or something. Like, I don't know. I'm like, just something about it just like rubbed me the wrong way. And the other thing I don't like is the way that he talks about people who drink. This is before I knew that Stephen King himself is a recovering alcoholic, and so like with that frame, after having read the book, everything makes so much more sense to me. I didn't like it while I was reading it. I gave myself a lot of time to really think about this book and to think about what I felt about it, and the only other critique I had was that, what's her name? Her name is, I can't remember her name, and that's like awful, but the girl in the book, the woman, she made a really brave choice in the end, and I just wanted to understand how, like, from an emotional standpoint she got there. I feel like I was reading her through her like experiences of other men. Like, I felt like I was reading her and understanding her via Jake and via her ex-husband and via one of her coworkers, more so than through her own experiences. And I thought that was kind of strange. I feel like partially I've been reading a lot of like women authors, like female authors, and also like queer authors, and I think that because of that, I'm like looking for the same engagement in terms of, I wish that we got to see more of her personality through her as opposed to through the eyes of the men around her and the thoughts of the men around her, is how I'm gonna say it. But otherwise, it was a really good book. My first Stephen King. Super happy I read it, and it's like a 4.5 for me. Maybe it's like nearly a 4.5. Maybe it's like a 4.25. Yeah, good 4-star book. Glad I read it, and yeah, to me it was worth it, even though it was like over 800 pages. So the last book I finished in July was Alone with You in the Ether, and I really, really enjoyed this. I had a hard time figuring out how I felt about it as I was reading it, because there were certain parts of, like, I don't know, the characters weren't insanely likable to me. I could think Aldo was more likable to me than Regan, but I had a hard time getting to know them for like a good chunk of the book. And then when I did start getting to know them, Aldo felt a bit more accessible to me. And then when I finally got to know Regan, I was like, okay, like, she's kind of the character that says all of the things you're thinking about in your head out loud, and acts on every intrusive thought and every impulse, which is, which is different, because usually, like, in literature and in life, I feel like, and this is a blanket statement, but like, women tend to be the ones like thinking through their steps a bit more thoroughly, and she was very much like, whatever happens, and I liked that about her, like, once I let her settle in to me, and I genuinely enjoyed the book. There are some beautiful lines in here that I probably didn't underline. I made a couple of notes in my notebook. I probably should have like had that ready. But the other thing that helped me is the first couple of chapters, I listened to them on audio, and that helped me be able to like physically read the book, because it was also just hard to get into their brains for me. Maybe more so Aldo initially, and then again, like I said, later on, like, I was able to understand them both. But I would say it's like a good book. I'd give it a solid 4.5 stars without even really thinking about it. I feel like it was well written. I feel like they were complicated. My only real thing was, I feel like the end was buttoned up a little bit too neatly, but it's also a love story, and so I feel like that's okay. I think I just like chaotic love that remains chaotic, which maybe isn't the most healthy. And then the book I DNF'd was Love, Holly, which is really good, by the way. I got into it. Let's see. I got 46 pages into it. I liked it. It's just that I gave up because I was like, honestly, like in my feelings, and this was not enough to comfort me, and I needed something that was either like completely chaotic or really comforting. And so I decided to go for slightly chaotic, not really chaotic, and I started Shuggy Bane instead, and I'm really enjoying it. I started it like yesterday and I'm already 100 pages plus into it, maybe like 125. And so yeah, so that's my July wrapped, and now I'm going to show you my recent haul so that I can after that get into my August TBR. So one moment while I resituate myself. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, so we have a little haul. How do I explain? So, July side. So, little haul. I got a couple books. It's no big deal. It's fine. Everything's fine. There it is. I was looking for this. Okay. So, for our little haul before we get into our August TBR. So I bought a couple books, yes, but to be fair, I hadn't really been buying books for the last like 5 months while I was working and on my contract that I was on, and so I think it's okay that I bought these books. I do. I think it's okay. So the first book I bought was Lolita, and that's because I want to read it, and I also want to read My Dark Vanessa, and so it was hauled. And for if you don't know, Lolita is about a college professor who may or may not be trying to get involved with a younger girl, and it goes from there. It's by Vladimir Nabokov. It's by one of the really good Russian writers, you know, and I think it's going to be great, and I have to read it, okay? I just have to. I also bought this Kristen Hanna called The Great Alone. I have The Nightingale, and I haven't read it yet. I've only read The Women so far, and I really enjoyed it. And I kind of want to read this one because follows similar, not really. I would say it follows like slightly similar themes to The Women in that like Vietnam is involved. I mean, that's really the only theme. But I got it and I'm excited. I'm excited to read it. I don't know if I did a haul or if I talked about any of these books on a previous video, and so if I have, just bear with me. I'm sorry, I don't remember and I'm not going to watch. This is The Summer Girlfriend. I'm so excited about this book. I think I first saw this on like Goodreads, but then I heard Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte talking about it, and I'm just so excited to learn about this. It's like there's this couple, and I guess she's normally hired as like a bridesmaid for the weekend, and then like somehow she gets hired as like this guy's pretend girlfriend, and we love to see it. And also like look at the cover, and like yes, black love, all of the things. And so I'm excited for this book. I'm like really excited. What else? I guess I'll show you. So this was a gift from my best friend for my birthday, and it's called The Wedding People, and I have no idea what it's about, but it's by Jasmine Guillory, and I like Jasmine Guillory, and so I am excited to read it. And thank you, best friend. And then okay, let me explain. The Booker Prize long list was just announced, and right before it was announced, like a day or two, I had been listening to Jack Edwards talk about John of John by Douglas Stewart, or maybe it was Shuggy Bane. I think it was John of John, but he has talked about Shuggy Bane like on his channel, and I really wanted to read it. And then when I picked up my copy, like that day, the long list was announced, and I decided to pick up a few other things. Okay, so I picked up these two from the long list. Let me see how I can do this. So from the long list, I have The Things We Never Say by Elizabeth Strout, and I have John of John. But like that, okay. But after listening to the podcast where Jack Edwards' podcast Inklings, where he was on, I was like, okay, how he explained it, I felt like I should read Shuggie Bain first. And so while I was at the store, I picked up Shuggie Bain and Young Manga, and I decided to give these a try. And I think what I want to do is just read all three of them this month so that I feel like better prepared. Like, I want to read at least Shuggie Bain ahead of John of John, but I may also read Young Mungo. I don't know yet. But I got all three of those Douglas Stewart books. And then the last little piece of my haul is I thought that Emily Wilson had only translated the Odyssey, but apparently she also translated the Iliad. And so I got those because I do have one edition of the Iliad and the Odyssey. They're older editions, and they're like the classic editions, not like Penguin Classic, but like the classic ones you read in school. And I wanted to try these out. Incidentally, Benjamin McAvoy had done a reading of the Iliad and the Odyssey this year in his book club, and I hadn't participated because I just wasn't prepared for that level of vigor while I was like in the particular work I was doing. And now I have the time, and so I thought, like, I'm gonna go see the Odyssey today, why not also like get into this? So that's why I purchased these. I don't know when I'm gonna read them, but I think it would be nice to have them to pull from. Okay, so now let's get into my actual TBR for this month. I'm gonna switch up the angle just a tiny bit though. I want to talk to you about what I'm gonna read for August in categories. And so, like, what I'm planning to read fully, poetry, like what novels I'm planning to read, what poetry I'm planning to read, and then what I'm planning to read some of or read from, because there are just some certain passages and things that I like to revisit every now and again, and I just think now is the time for me. So in terms of what I actually want to finish, the first one and my first priority is Pull Dark, because I have the audiobook on loan from the library, and when somebody says that a book moves a bit more slowly, I like to at least start out with the audio and then drift into this as I see fit, into like the book. And so I kind of want this to be my audiobook for a little while, and then I'll drift into the physical book when I like have a lot of downtime and don't want to read one of my other books. So Pull Dark, that's book number 1 that I want to finish, and again, I only have a couple weeks to do it. Book number 2 and my absolute second priority is Writers and Lovers by Lily King, and I'm prioritizing this because I want to read Heart the Lover really badly, and because I heard that this book is a really good character study of like relationships, and I love writers who are thinking about relationships as deeply as Lily King does, and so it's just something that for me is a must read, and I gotta do it. I gotta do it this month. Another one that I am prioritizing right now and have already started is Soldier Sailor. This is a story about a mom in her early days of motherhood, and she's talking to her kid, and yeah, already I found passages in here that have made me laugh so hard. Like, let me see. Like, she's mad at her husband for sleeping, and so she says, I hadn't had an unbroken night's sleep since you'd exploded onto the scene. I love you, but Jesus wept. And then later she says, I could not get my head around it. How could my husband sleep under the circumstances? How was it physically possible? I was too wired to even yawn. Wasn't the adrenaline coursing through his veins too, making him jumpy and wild? I wanted to bellow it at his door. How can you sleep in there when you don't know what you awake to? All bets are off, don't you get it? And then later she says, I wonder whether you can die of resentment, sailor. Not instantly, but over time. Can it damage cells and trigger cancer? Weaken your heart? There were times when I resented my husband so much I worried it'd kill me if I didn't kill him first. Look at him in there sleeping again. He'd been sleeping all winter. The more he slept, the more I seethed. The more I seethed, the less I slept. And I just like feel like as a mom, like this is like one of the most relatable accounts of early motherhood I've ever read, and it makes me feel so seen and understood. And if that's just like the first like 4 or 5 pages, like what am I going to be getting into? And also yes, and also thank you. And so I'm really excited to finish that this month. Another book I'm prioritizing for this month, or I would say I guess like another for this month, I'm also prioritizing, where are you? There it is. Shiggy Bane. I'll probably finish this tomorrow because I'm like over 100 pages into it. Yeah, I'm 119 pages into it. And so I'll finish this week until I'm like gently counting it as August, but it's gonna be finished like the first or second day. And so I'm really excited. I'm really enjoying it. This is about this young man named Shuggy, and it's the 1980s, his childhood, what's going on where he lives, what's going on with his mother. The story is definitely told in 2 timelines, which is really interesting. And I just really like what I'm getting into so far. I really like the intricacies of Shuggy's mother, Agnes, and like how complicated she is, and for no reason at all, which I think is also important because you don't need a reason to be complicated. But she's struggling with like drugs and alcohol, and yeah, Shuggy's as her son like in the center of it all, and so it's really interesting so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm so excited. I'm also planning, because of the booker, to read John of John. I'd like to finish it, but I'd like to read it. And John of John is about, I think he ends up going back to the island instead of the mainland of Scotland to like take care of his grandmother because his like dad guilts him into it or something. And he studies textiles, and there's like, I don't know, I think it's just really interesting. It's not something that I know that I've experienced in a novel yet, so I'm excited to get into it. Also this month, because of the Booker long list, I'd like to read this, and this is Things We Never Say by Elizabeth Strout, like I said, and I'm excited for it. I'm not somebody who's willing to like go and buy an entire long list for a prize, maybe the Women's Prize, but like I'm not like for the Booker Prize, maybe for the International Booker Prize, but like there are certain prizes where I'm like, who can afford to like go and buy all of those books? But when I see books on the list that really speak to me and that I feel like I resonate with, I want to read those books. And so I would like to do some sort of vlog about reading the books from the long list that spoke specifically to me, and that's where I'll read John of John and Things We Never Say. And this book is just it's about a man who's teaching history to 11th graders and in Massachusetts, and he's very lonely, and he's doesn't really love the world that he sees and that he's experiencing, and he learns a secret apparently about life, and life is kind of personified here. He learns a secret that life has been keeping from him, and yeah, I don't know, I'm just interested. It sounds like a character study. I like a character study. Also, Elizabeth Strout won the Pulitzer Prize. Did this book win the Pulitzer Prize? No, but she won the Pulitzer Prize, and that's cool. And we're about looking for repeated patterns of behavior here, so I'm really excited to read this one. And the only other book that I would like to kill myself to read in August is The Summer Girlfriend. And this is one that I would like to obviously finish as well. I think this will be like a comfort read for me for this month because I'm gonna be reading some pretty heavy stuff. This one in Poldark will be my comfort reads, and the other one, it's 7 books, but like I feel like we can do it, guys. I feel like we can do it. Oh, there is one more, and this will be an audio read. Okay, it's gonna be 8 books, but it's gonna be okay, I promise. And this is finally a Storm of Swords. So I read books 1 and 2 like a year ago now, A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, and last week I did a deep dive into, I watched a bunch of videos on Game of Thrones books 1 and 2 so that I could like remember what happened, and now I remember, and now I like want to read book 3 really bad. This one's going to be done via audio probably entirely because I'll run out of audiobooks really quickly because I only have Poldark. Yeah, and so this one will be done by audio. This will be my, like, the audiobook that I take with me everywhere throughout the month. And yeah, I'm excited. So let me show you, these are all the books that I plan to finish for August. Let me just get the stack going here. And we can do it, guys. Like, we've done more than this before. So this is the stack. I feel like it looks better on this side. I feel like you can even see it. But that's kind of cute. Okay. So those are the novels. I also have 2 collections of poetry I'd like to read this month. And they're not like thick, they're not chunky, but I would like to read them. I am doing the most, but it's fine. So the first one is Death Does Not End at the Sea, and this is about spiritual odysseys and voyages. How timely. And there is something in here about searching for the ghost of James Baldwin, which I like. But yeah, Gbenga Adesina is a Nigerian poet and essayist, and the inaugural Mellon Postdoctoral Fellow in Global Black and Diasporic Poetry at the Furious Flower Poetry Center at James Madison University. Holy moly. But yes, this gentleman has all the accolades, and the little bit that I have read from this, I've had it for a while now, maybe a little over a year. The bit that I have read from this, I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm just excited to get into it. The other book I've had for a while, and it's The New Economy by Gabrielle Calvacresi. I talked about this once before. I am genuinely interested in it, and I really love everything when I pick it up. I would just like the opportunity to like fully settle into it, and so I'm planning to let this be a collection of poetry that I pick up until I'm done this month. And I think that's important because like it's important to read poetry. It's important. And speaking of poetry, I want to just tell you about the other books and poetry and things I want to just touch this month, meaning just read from. And those are 28 Portuguese Poets, a bilingual anthology. And this is just something I picked up when I was in Portugal a few years ago with my little humans. And it's actually one of the books that one of my teachers in my poetry workshop when I was in Lisbon, it's one of the books that she read from often and like assigned reading from often. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it, and I just want to make myself accountable to the idea of showing up and reading 1 or 2 poems out of here. And I think I used to translate Portuguese poetry, and so it'd be even more fun for somebody like me because I get to see both the English and the Portuguese sections of this, and yeah, I think it'll be good. Another anthology I want to read from is Poetry Unbound. I think I showed you in a previous video, but there's a new collection from Poetry Unbound, and I want to read that, but I'd like to finish this first. I'm like 2/3 of the way through, so I'd like to pick up a couple of poems, which are accompanied by essays by Padre Otuma. And so yeah, something else I just like to read a little bit from this month. And then I also want to read a bit of Slouching Toward Bethlehem. I want to just choose an essay and read an essay, something I've been trying to do as often as possible. Usually it's virtual, but I like to pick up and read just a little essay just because, I don't know, like for me, I feel like scrolling has been taking over my life, and taking the time to like more slowly be in somebody's thoughts and head versus like racing through it by like, you know, just switching to the next post. I don't know. I just feel like this is a more intentional way to be in conversation with somebody, and so that's why I'm choosing to go down this road. I had started reading it in college, or I read it for the first time in college. And then novels that I'd like to touch. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, his debut novel from like 2019. Normal People, which is my favorite Sally Rooney, really good character studies. And Tar Baby, because Toni Morrison, you don't rush. You gently walk through. And so those are some books I'd like to just like gently move through this month. But yeah, that's it, guys. I'd be interested to see if I can do all of this. I definitely think from like a standpoint of like the novels I can, and so I hope that I can also give myself that commitment and get into the poetry as well. But I'm really excited because a good amount of these books were already on my physical TBR. Out of the ones I plan to finish this month, 6, excuse me, yeah, 2 out of the 6 were already on my TBR. And then everything else that I'm reading from, I've owned, and I'm just rereading. So I don't know, I'm excited. This feels like, you know, a lot in a way, because I have this year not been giving myself reading goals, because last year I burned myself out quite a bit by doing that. But I don't know, I'm excited to get into this. Well, that's it. Okay, well, that's it for this part. Switching gears, I know it's late, but I'm planning to do a mid-year freak out tag. Probably for next week, because I just want to. I think it was the first video I made on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it was. And I feel like I need to put it out there to commemorate officially my first year hanging out on booktube. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's in the works next. But yeah, I don't know, that's really it. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. I also want to say, if you like this, I would really love if you could like the video, and if you want more bookish stuff like this, then I would hope that you would subscribe. But that's it, that's all I got. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.